So it's been raining for about the last 18 hours. And due to the nature of what I do, that being heavy construction, we can't really work when it's raining. It's too slippery, it's too hard for the machines to control themselves, the ground gets too soft. It just turns into a huge, sloppy mud pit mess. So, as a result, we're shut down for the day. Probably for the next couple of days, considering how heavily it's been raining. Um, so I decided that I was going to head to the mall, the famous West Edmonton Mall. Um, and they have I don't know what you'd really call it, kind of a collectible import shop near the amusement park called Comex Hobby. I think I've referred to it a couple of times in some earlier videos, but I haven't been there much in a while. But it's a good store. They got a good selection of a lot of like anime, toys, action figures, but also some model kits, and curiously some airsoft. So kind of a random combination of weird stuff, but it's a neat store. Always got a good selection of Gundam kits. So I like to pop in there every once in a while because they always seem to get in the new stuff fairly quickly. So when I went in today, I was hoping I was going to get my hands on the new-ish Kotobukiya Metal Gear Ray to pair up with my Metal Gear Rex. But they didn't have one, at least not on the shelf. They had one in the window that I did not see until I was already walking out with my actual purchase, one of the latest in the Master Grade series, the Turn X. This is from the Turn A Gundam series. It's the counterpart to the eponymous mobile suit Turn A Gundam. I believe that series aired starting in 1999 in Japan. I do not believe it has ever been brought over domestically. If it was, it snuck by me. So it's possible it might have been dubbed. I really don't know, but to the best of my knowledge, it never was. Which is surprising and kind of disappointing because apparently it was a very, very well-produced and well-loved show in Japan with some really interesting mobile suit designs. The titular Turn A Gundam as well as the Turn X were not in fact designed by any regular mecha designer working in Japan, like Kunio Okawara or Yutaka Itsubuchi or Hajime Katoki. Any of the main guys who were working doing Gundam designs, especially during that era. No, the two of them, and I believe quite a few of the other secondary mobile suits were designed by an American. Well-known futurist and artist Sid Mead, best known for designing the look of the film Blade Runner. He designed the spinner, the police car that Harrison Ford's character uses. He designed a lot of the overall the world in Blade Runner, and it's very interesting. It's very fascinating to see an American take on a Japanese property like this. All of the mobile suit designs are completely unique, unlike anything else seen in any other Gundam series, with the exception of one which I believe is called the Borjornon. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of it. Something like that, which is basically a kind of a cartoonified, chibified Zaku, which is kind of weird. I think the idea behind Turn A Gundam is that it was intended to be kind of a singularity. It was like some point in the far distant future of every Gundam series, regardless of whether it was from the Universal Century, the After Colony era, the After War era, whatever other era. There were supposed to be mecha designs from like every previous era of Gundam, all combined into this one as kind of the 20-year anniversary, kind of a celebration of the brand. So they wanted to go in a different direction while paying homage to what had come before. Now, I'm not really sure how the story of the show goes, because I've never seen it. I've never had access to it, but the mecha design is really, really cool. Bandai did a Master Grade of the Turn A Gundam, I would say about 4 years ago, and it was a big deal when they did it. It was marketed as MG100, the 100th individual release in the Master Grade series, not counting, special editions or reissues or plated versions or versions with clear parts or whatever. It was the 100th unique mobile suit. So if you included like the original Gundam and the G3, or the green Grunt Zaku and the Shaw Zaku, each as individual releases, but not including, as I said, the special editions like the chrome-plated versions or whatever. So it was the 100th special release, or the 100th release of the Master Grade series. So, yeah, so they wanted to make a big deal out of it. But then it was the only one they did for a very long time until pictures of this started surfacing just a few months ago. And I didn't even know it had been released until I happened into the shop and I saw it sitting there, and I'm like, mine. So let's take a look at it. It's a pretty unique looking mobile suit, so I think this should be an interesting build. So the box art is fairly typical for a Master Grade release. Has a CGI rendered graphic of the mobile suit in a dynamic pose, showing off some of its action features and design features, such as the opening clawed right arm. I'm not super familiar with the Turn X, so I'm not sure if the arm is just like that, or if it does in fact have a proper grasping manipulator as the left arm does. We'll take a closer look at it as we get into the rest of the model. But you can see there the Turn A Gundam is off in the background, and like the Turn X, it's a very, very unique design. You can kind of get a look at it. It features very standard Gundam colors, but the overall design of it is very, very unique. Box sides, very typical for any Master Grade, just kind of showing off some of the action features and design features of it. And the other side, much the same. Now, I always like to start with the instructions, which Bandai always buries at the bottom. Cover, exactly the same as the box art. You get some bio info, a little historical info on the mobile suit, as well as history of the series itself. Of course, naturally all in Japanese, so I can't read a word of it. You get your parts callouts. Quite a few runners in this one. So yeah, 3 full pages, well, 2.5 full pages of runners, including a stand, which appears to use the action base, at least part of the action base that Bandai has been marketing for the last several years. You got some basic construction instructions, standard Master Grade assembly stuff. So, assembly of the model kit itself appears to start with the torso. It says body unit, and then moves on to the head, and then the arms. Very interesting modular design to this thing. From what I understand, the Turn X can actually separate into 5 or 6 separate components. So I think the head can detach, the arms can detach, the legs can detach, and they all kind of function as independent mobile suits, or independent components on their own. But it looks, to the best I can figure, it looks as though the right arm, in fact, is merely this grasping claw and not a proper manipulator hand. Yeah, so you got your right arm, then you got your left arm, and then moving down into the legs. Center section, I always love the center section. Got photos, very heavily photoshopped, of course, but photos of the completed models in kind of dynamic action poses. I'm not sure why. This one appears to have a kind of hazy image of the Sandrock from Gundam Wing, specifically from Endless Waltz in there. I'm sure there's a reason for that within the continuity of the show, but since I've never seen the show, I can't speak for it. But you can see right there, you can make out the distinctive mohawk and sort of purple-ish color pattern of the Endless Waltz version of Sandrock. I got some neat photos of the completed model in, showing off posability, showing off action features. And here you can see how it breaks up into several components, which can all be attached to the stand together for interesting posing options. Construction continues with the other leg, waist unit, final assembly of the model itself, and then the separate weapons backpack and all other additional weapons. It appears to have a beam rifle, some kind of bazooka, missile pod, and a beam pistol of some kind. It appears to be able to fit all of it together, which is a neat feature. And then finally you have the stand, which, as you can see here, shows you have all the different little miniature sub-arms that can attach all of the sub-components, all of the separated components of the mobile suit for, I guess you might call it an all-range attack. So here you can, there's a really good photo of it. It's black and white, but you can still get a really good look at what's involved. And finally, just some posing options. If you do have the Turn A Gundam, you can pose them together. I guess this is an important moment within the show. So, again, not having seen it. And then finally, you've got your marking guide on the last page, and a glamour shot of the assembled model. So first up, we got some of the foil stickers, self-adhesive stickers. We've got eyes, some black stripes, and some colorful stripes that I'm guessing must have something to do with one of its action features. First runner, it's molded in this neat kind of pale green. It's not quite the same kind of green as you might expect of like a Gym or a GM, however you prefer to pronounce it. I always pronounced it Gym because that seems to be how it's pronounced in the anime, in the original Japanese. But whatever. Getting off topic here. It's kind of a flatter, more subdued kind of a shade of green. It's kind of it's not the most visually appealing color, but that might be by design. There's some really good panel line detailing, like on these parts. I think these are parts of the shoulders. Some really, really good etching in there. And I think these are forearm cuffs. There's some really, really interesting molding in there as well. I've got the frame for the backpack module. Same as with the arm parts we just looked at. Lots of really well etched in detail molded on here. Lots of panels of various elevations. So you've got like step down panels to like little recessed areas and like high areas with like 3 steps worth of panel detail in between. Lots of other mechanical detail on some of these. You got like some molded in pipes and conduits. Detail on this is really outstanding. More markings. These are the dry transfers, which instead of being self-adhesive stickers are kind of rub-on transfers that can be really tricky to work with, but if you have a little bit of patience and you know how to work with them, they usually come out really well. But it's got basically identification marks, like it says Turn X with the model number, as well as the different some of the different functionality, Shining Finger, and the Gingham Fleet and Diana Counter. I'm not really sure what those are in the context of the show. I know that there's a character called Diana in the show, but I don't know what she's countering exactly. Anyway. Some mechanical parts here. I would guess that most of these are arm parts. These look like they probably fit in the shoulder armors that we looked at. I believe this is the frame for the right claw hand. I think this is probably where the actual claws attach here, but these together probably form that the whole frame of that right arm. Some venting detail on the inside of these shoulder armor parts. It looks really nice. Most of these, I don't imagine any of these are supposed to have too much mechanical detail on them, because they probably just have armor slapped on them and then it's good. They're done. But what little additional molded detail there is on here is quite nice. More mechanical parts. These look like chest components mostly, chest and torso. We've got the pilot seat, main chest plate, mechanical interior. This is probably the back. I would say the waist, cockpit hatch maybe? Hard to say. But nice detail on that, whatever it is. Some ribbing and some venting detail in there. Yeah, lots of neat mechanical parts. This might be part of a collar for a wrist. And finally, I think this should be the last of the markings. These are the self-adhesive translucent stickers, having more faction markings and call-outs for detail parts, like stencils and whatnot, like you might see on an aircraft. Even when I fully paint up my Gundam kits, I never use these because they're stickers. They look terrible. They peel off. I would much rather use dry transfers or water slide. Decals. I'm still mad about that. It's decals, damn it. I'm never going to not be mad about that. Some weapons parts. This would be frame components for the weapons backpack, I would say. Again, same with the other backpack parts. There's some neat molded detail in there. Some hoses and some venting. A little bit of dry brushing would really make this look really outstanding. And I believe this is most of the bazooka, probably the beam rifle, maybe parts for the beam pistol. Magazine, I would say, right here for the bazooka. More arm parts. This one appears to use the similar kind of hand structure as a lot of the Gundam Wing and Gundam Seed Master Grade kits, in that it has a palm with a articulated thumb with replaceable finger blocks. So you've got your trigger finger hand, you've got your gripping hand, you've got your closed fist, and your relaxed palm. Plus, it looks like these are probably parts for the left arm, frame, shoulder mechanical parts. I want to say these look like they might be part of a cockpit hatch. A lot of other just unusual mechanical bits and pieces. Now we're getting into the base. It looks like it's a very well articulated base, so you can pose the thing in many kinds of orientations. I believe there's a separate large octagonal component hiding somewhere in the box. I'm not sure if it's molded in clear as well, but I would say it probably is because I can't see it, so it must be clear. It uses the same kind of design as the action bases, but more specifically designed for this mobile suit, since it's a little bit more specialized. So this is the base of the base that locks into the actual bottom And it looks like this arm can be posed in a variety of different positions, and then there's all of these little bits and pieces which might be on ball joints. They can all be adjusted to a variety of different poses. So all of the different components can be shooting off in a lot of different directions, which looks like it would be really neat. I'm really looking forward to getting this together so I can pose the base in all kinds of different ways. More armor parts. That same kind of unsettling green. I've decided what it is. This is Hospital Scrubs green. It's yeah, like I said, it's visually not a very appealing shade of green, but I want to say I think that must be by design. Not much to say really. It's just armor parts. There's not really any detail to speak of. There's a couple of panel lines on some parts over here, some more panel lines over here, but it's armor. It's all pretty flat. More mechanical parts. This looks like it's a half of another larger runner that we had seen earlier, matched pair for the other arm, I would guess. So not much to say about that. More base pieces. The runner itself is labeled BA3-J2. So I'm guessing this is a fairly standard base that they're rolling out, starting with this kit. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to be doing more kits that require bases, so you won't have to use the action base all the time, because the action base, it's a good design, but it's not great, and it's really showing its age. Here finally, this same as the other mechanical part we just looked at. This is a smaller component, a matched component for a larger runner that we looked at just a moment ago. Oh, and here's the actual octagonal bottom for the stand itself. Like I said, it's clear, so that's why I couldn't see it through everything else. The fact that it's clear is kind of a bummer, because you can see all the copyright information through the top of it, which is kind of dumb. That's kind of super dumb. If they'd done it in like smoky gray or just straight up opaque, I think it would have worked better. Like the actual base, like being in opaque, but the stand itself, like the strut and the arms all being in clear, would have been really cool. But whatever. We got some clear parts here. Speaking of smoky gray, they are in smoky gray clear. Why couldn't they have just molded the base in this color as well? The chest plate, this is probably part of the backpack. Other clear parts, I would say this is for the head somewhere. I don't know if these are supposed to replace opaque components, like matching opaque components somewhere, but I haven't seen anything else that looks quite like this, so I'm going to say probably not. I think this fits over the dark gray mechanical part, and then there's a green part that fits over top of it that maybe has like some doors and panels that close. But yeah, this one I'm not really sure. The rest of them, they look like flip open panels for a lot of places. So it might be for like actually, these are probably the claws for the Shining Finger attack, the claws in the right arm. So they probably all fit together. I don't know, they might have opaque green parts that fit over top of them. Or they might just straight up be like swap out pieces. I'll have to take a closer look at the instructions. Last two runners are identical. So we'll just take a look at one. It looks like leg components mostly. Knee parts, lower leg parts, probably feet. This thing has big, like weird shaped feet. The legs basically split in half at the below the knee, and the whole front section is like the toe, and the back section is the heel. It's a really interesting design. But yeah, so like I said, these are probably bits for the kneecap, lower leg, knee block, or possibly thigh. Not really sure. And the actual hip connection point. So that's the Turn X. Yeah, so there is the Turn X. It's a very unique, very unusual looking mobile suit. I don't think there's really ever been another design quite as unique, or I'm just going to say it, off the wall as this. The Turn A is quite unusual, but this thing just takes the cake. This thing is just super bizarre, and I really dig it. Aside from the kind of unappealing Hospital Scrubs green, I really dig this. I'm really anxious to get started on building it, and I really wish that I had my Turn A here as well. But I am going home for a few days in August, so I will dig through the closet and I'll see if I can find it. And if I can, I'll bring it out and I'll do a wrap-up review video of the two of them side by side, hopefully, to show off like the comparison between the two of them. But this thing is super funky. This thing is super neat. I'm probably going to be off for at least tomorrow and probably Sunday as well. It's calling for more rain tonight. In fact, I'm looking out the window and it looks pretty gross out there. So I would say, yeah, there's a pretty solid chance I'm not going to be working again before like Monday. So I'll have time to build this, I would say. And once I do, I will I'll probably post some pictures of it to my Twitter, and then come back and do an assembled kit review of it, maybe in a week or two. And then when I have the Turn A here, if I can find it, I'll show the two off side by side and kind of show just how different and unusual that mobile suit, as well as this, really are from just about any other mobile suit designs that have ever come out of Gundam. So that's about it. I'm working on a long form vlog I want to record about a subject very near and dear to me for the last couple of years. I've talked briefly about my love of My Little Pony in some videos recently, and at greater length in others, such as my Brony Expo recap vlog from a couple of weeks ago. I'm still riding that high from that convention. I had such a good time. Got a new patch on my sleeve. That's a Cutie Mark Crusaders patch to match my Rainbow Dash patch on the other arm. Yeah, I got Brony Can coming up in Vancouver in 4 weeks, I think, from today. Get hyped. So yeah, hopefully that'll be an awesome time. Hopefully, what am I talking about? It will be an awesome time. It'll be a fantastic time. But yeah, I wanna do a long form vlog about MLP that I'm working on. I'm kind of working on I won't say a script, but kind of, a bullet point list of things I want to talk about, kind of in the sense of how it changed my life. And I know that sounds dumb because it's a cartoon for little girls, but it's really not. And I will defend to the death anyone who says that it is. Wait, that didn't make sense. I will fight to the death anyone who says that it does, but I won't do that because that would be terrible. This went really off the rails. So Turn X! How about that? Yeah, I'm gonna try and get this built this weekend, and we'll do what we can with that shortly. So thanks everyone out there for watching. Happy modeling.